So, up next, it's going to be dramiS and maxter here on our latest edition of the Quake Pro League Season 2. Welcome back, everyone. My name's Ketchup, joined by Lethal. Harry, what do we make of this matchup?
Well, it's going to be even more interesting compared to the last one now. These next two matches, kind of like the battle for relegation in terms of the Americas region now. We're way past the halfway mark, like we said earlier on in the pre-show, but this one is going to be very important for both of these players, especially for dramiS. dramiS is at the bottom of the table. I don't think he's even won a single map at this moment in time. And against a player like maxter, where he doesn't really care, has absolutely no fear. There's no pressure on him, really, because it's his first stage, but dramiS needs to really step things up. He definitely knows more than anyone that he has to try and step things up in any way he can going forward for these next few weeks. Because with dramiS, he's kind of played against, I would say, the highest of caliber in the Americas region. He's got the Rafa, the Hang, etc., all out the way in the chain. And now he's playing against the opponents where, they're not as strong at the moment, or in terms of the Americas region, but he can definitely try and get some series wins starting from now, because he only needs a couple in order to get out of that relegation zone again.
Now, one of those players that has been, I think, impressing a lot of us, especially seeing as this really is his kind of breakout time for Quake Champions, is maxter. A player that has, a lot of players that we see take a while to find their footing in Pro League, and they have that kind of high top speed but slow acceleration. We are starting to see players like Zeniku, for example, where it took him an entire stage to reach that comfort level. Now he's there. He's well on his way to getting better and better. maxter kind of reached that point quite quickly, I think. And although he's not the most successful player that we have here, he's made himself a nice little chunk of change. Look at that, 1.6k so far, and up against some pretty stiff competition as well. I think maxter's been looking good. So although dramiS has been here since day one, I think this could be the time maxter might be able to squeeze out a victory. But I do think 2-1 would be the likely result if there's a win there. I'd like to see dramiS start to get a little bit of momentum, I'll be honest.
Yeah, he needs something going now. He must be so demoralised this stage, week upon week, not only has he not got a series win, he hasn't even got a map win as of yet. And we know he's more than capable. He was slowly progressing really well in terms of his style. We know he's got quite a defensive style, similar to Dewey, but the only problem is with dramiS, he can actually transition better in terms of the offense. But it seems like now that he struggles to even transition back when he's behind against a lot of his opponents. And against a player like maxter, if you're going to even play that passive style and choose where and when you want to fight those bouts, you've got to be very careful, because maxter doesn't really give you much room or much of a chance to even be able to actually make that chance to even happen. I think it was maxter. I think he might have actually played against Dewey not too long ago, if I remember rightly, and maxter actually took him down. Yeah, he did. So, when it comes to actually playing against an opponent with a defensive style, maxter's actually very good at it, which means he's also a character where he can actually be able to adapt quite well in comparison to some others. And I was quite surprised when he actually took down Dewey, because even though maxter is very, very aggressive and kind of has no fear in terms of who he plays against, he doesn't really seem to care anyway, because why should he have any pressure? This is his first stage. It's like Zanaku, for instance. It took him 2 stages, but he got there in the end and managed to do quite well in the Pro League. But maxter's just doing it straight off the bat. He's not really that fast. And I think a play against dramiS, I think Dewey plays a little bit better in terms of that style, in terms of dramiS. That's why I kind of feel the same as you, where maxter may edge him in terms of the series score.
Well, we'll find out very soon, but extra information never hurt anyone, so let's have a look at the picks and bans, and we'll see what the journey will be. I'm seeing in the lobby the Sorlag versus the Athena, so we could have quite the fast and furious series here, folks, because as you can see, the slash after that on the Molten Falls, but it is going to be dramiS with the Keel, Anarchy removed from play, and then Corrupted Keep. We get to see the Keep. And that will be Ison versus Galena. So I think that this map combination, pretty good. We've got the 2 smalls, and then we've got the Molten Falls. Definitely, one extreme or the other, I think, if we're talking about size alone. But nothing super out of the ordinary. I think using the slash against dramiS, taking out a crouch slider from dramiS is always something that I think will benefit you if you know how to play the champion yourself. And then we could see after that on Keep, the Strog was removed. So some of dramis's comfort in terms of movement alone has actually been removed from play. It's only the Athena that lets him fly around.
Definitely. Like, I think we have to dig deep even further to the map picks. Look at this. So you can see that maxter knows that dramiS is more, he prefers the larger map pool in comparison. That's why dramiS is also banned Deep Embrace. Maxter's ridiculous on that map. He's just as good as his Awoken, because for maxter, Awoken is one of his best maps. dramiS decided to go Molten Falls anyway. Again, one of the larger maps in the pool. And maxter knew full well but dramiS wasn't going to choose Tower of Koth as one of the other maps. So maxter purposely banned Blood Covenant, knowing that he's going to get Corrupted Keep. So dramiS either thought, well, I can either play Tower of Koth, which I've not played that much in the Pro League, or I can go to a map, even though it's smaller, not to my taking, not adjust to his style, but he's more known for using that map quite well with heavy machine gun and keeping that long range battles going and be able to pick off when necessary. So those map picks were, I would say, quite predictable in terms of what he wanted to do, but maxter definitely got what he wanted. I think in terms of the map picks, he definitely wanted the Awoken, which he got anyway. He didn't get Deep Embrace, but having Awoken and Corrupted Keep his map 1 and 3 is definitely in maxter's favour.
Well, it looks like our warm-up is coming to a close. So map 1's about to start. Thanks for joining us so far on our latest week of the Quake Pro League. dramiS and maxter head-to-head with Awoken starting things off. dramiS going in with that Athena. Checking out his point of view first. And we always talk about the nature of saw lag on Awoken. How dangerous of a pick she can be. The stack and the mobility. And the fact that dramiS with Athena has to rely so heavily on that movement to just stay alive. Dodge shots wherever possible. Make sure he can back up and get stack if he needs it, because saw lag can be such a bully on a map like this.
It really can be, which is why it's sometimes maxter's playground, or most of the time, considering what we've seen from him. But dramiS needs to abuse that verticality. Oh, Athena, that tri-bolt shot was ridiculous.
Bang, bang, bang.
And now dramiS is going to hold that top mid control, keep maxter at bay, and choose when he wants to try and push in. Because right now, the stacks are quite similar. maxter edging just slightly, but he does have just the grab hook. He has a few anyway just to get away if he needs to. But look at this, maxter just going straight in. He doesn't care at all, but he will care now as dramiS just barely managed to actually take that first frag and has the mega tail himself even further. He was hoping for the light to appear. It hasn't, but the heavy has, so it doesn't matter too much. So maxter needs to decide on how he wants to try and take some chip damage off of dramiS.
Now maxter conceded the heavy as well, which has given dramiS full, complete control. And every opportunity to, even though there's not much of a delay between these two items, on Awoken, it can be significant enough that you can cover the distance, especially when you factor in Athena and that just grappling hook. However, no, the click heard around the world every single time. maxter is going to punish the fact that dramiS, poor lad, was out of rockets.
Yeah, that was quite risky, actually. I'm quite surprised dramiS took that, but I suppose if he went towards the light anyway, he would have been pinned around the shotgun area, which is understandable. Right now, though, maxter trying his best to hold that top mid control, and he has done now, but he decides to see what he can do now. He's trying to build up all his weapons in his arsenal once again, circle around and see if he can contest this mega, and he successfully has done. Taken a tiny bit of damage here, but he needs to work on getting these lights if he can, but instead transitions on the offense and managed to pick off dramiS perfectly there. So that was a nice play from maxter, but maxter now needs to try and find out exactly how he's going to take the lead.
Listening out for information as always. Here's the grappling hook. So fair to assume dramiS, he's going to have a rail now at the very least. Went up nearby. But I've actually liked the pace here from maxter. Caught him off guard. Perfect read on where dramiS was going to try to escape, but you're 2 HP away from railable. Now, definitely railable. Even after that light. How does maxter escape dramiS? dramiS, a player that loves to go in for the kill. Just needs to find a good and safe angle. That's the important one. Uh-oh. Right out there. maxter misses the rail, which is going to allow dramiS a clean pickup here, as it's 3-2 in his favor.
I'm not going to lie to you, Ketchup. I thought he was going to get LG'd off the map at that one point. It was so risky, but he was just like, do you know what? I'll just do it anyway. It don't matter. But dramiS now looking very good. Hasn't got the map control, but is doing the damage when necessary against maxter. maxter just trying to listen out for the audio cues, keeping that top mid control, which of course he should do, but he won't be able to keep it for too much longer as dramiS does trying to grapple hook into him. drops down just at the perfect time. And you can see maxter is just, it's not that he's being impatient, he's so eager to make something happen. It's not like him to play so passive and having to wait for the right moment. He just wants to get something going straight away. He likes to force his opponent to make the first mistake. But so far, he's been making the damage done anyway. He's been doing quite well. There's another rail again. Very similar stacks now, apart from getting that light. But instead, maxter just manages to LG him away and equalise the scoreline here.
Well, he knows he's going to have to keep up. One thing Athena demands of you, especially in the hands of a high-octane player like dramiS, is that if there are champions that are just flying around the map all over the place, you have to compete with their pace. And maxter, he's been looking for these kind of defensive rail angles, and consistently he's firing a bit late when dramiS comes around the corner. And that's, Athena, if you're trying to get a prediction on when she's going to come flying around the corner, the grapple hook at a moment's notice makes it so hard to plan the perfect shot, because at any moment you could just get that big boost of speed, caught swapping weapons a bunch. And that's another pickup here for dramiS, taking the lead for another time. And he's positioned himself for rail as well. Good position for the heavy. The grappling hook's good to go. Can he escape? Looks like he can, and there's a speed boost. Athena, in some ways, uncontested mobility on maps like this. Just look at that, the repositioning. And the fact that maxter, he thinks he can go in, and dramiS, he's already set up a beautiful angle for it. Thank you, grapple hook.
Certainly has indeed. I think earlier maxter made the wrong weapon switch earlier on, but I think he probably wished he went for the LG because of that tiny bit of height going from banana to the mega. Oh, lovely rail there from maxter just to push through.
Right.
Talking about that, but I think that's definitely made up for what he did earlier, and now he's got the stack to push in straight away. dramiS has nowhere to go. He picks up the light, but what can he do from here, especially against the LG? He's got the shotgun, but he's definitely not close enough to make enough impact. But as I see there, he's only on 20 HP. This shouldn't be happening. Takes him down anyway. The mega's still up. dramiS has got the spawn, but will he go for it? No, he won't. Looks like maxter got a slightly closer spawn bottom mid and picks up the mega over him. But the heavy is up. I'm not too sure. Yeah, he realizes it's there now, just a little bit too late. But again, dramiS taking a huge amount of chunk of damage, but it just goes straight in, gets the LG beautiful up the jump pad there. And now dramiS takes the lead again, Ketchup.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how dramiS survived 2 frags ago.
He shouldn't have done.
It kind of seemed on first glance like he overstayed his welcome, right? He was sticking around, and I'm thinking, why is he hanging around? He's outstacked, he's outgunned. And then a few seconds later, they score a trade, and now dramiS 7 frags to 5. An absolutely fantastic turn of events for him, absolutely. And he wants to beat him to the heavy. I was about to say, even if he goes down, he's denied it, but maxter just completely unable to get the rockets he's looking for. Oh, good damage on the rocket to start as well as maxter goes down for another time. dramiS, the information to say, yes, I've done the damage, and that means he's still near banana. Let's go in and finish the job, and he will. Such a lead here for dramiS now, and tricky for maxter to bring this one back the way things are currently going. I feel like dramiS is now completely overwhelming him at this point.
Ever since that incident, I just feel like maxter's been a bit uncharismatic in terms of his playstyle and how he actually pushes up. He's okay now, like he's playing a little bit more defensive and trying to choose where and when to actually choose these fights, and that was the correct play from maxter just anyway, patiently making sure that if dramiS does make the rotate onto mega, then he can catch him with the LG. That was beautiful stuff. And maxter does have the stack, and 4 frags on the Awoken, especially with that stack, is definitely doable. It depends how much damage he takes in each of these fights, but he drops down anyway, takes a huge chunk of damage. Yeah, sure, he gets the frag, but I think dramiS will be looking to get the trade, and he's so close from getting it, and it looks like maxter is just waiting very patiently to go for that telly, which he has done now. But what is maxter going to do? Which path is he going to take? Is he going to go for the telly and try and catch him off guard top mid? He knows he's going to be after these lights and after these health bubbles. It's just a matter of how and when, and maxter's only on 71 HP, so he's the one being hunted down at this moment in time.
And with 3 frags, thoroughly out of control, dramiS continuing to hit the damage. This is going to be a very difficult comeback for maxter to make. But maxter has time to pull it off. He's got the weapons as well. Acid Spit certainly helps. Granted, Acid Spit might be a little bit harder to land on the Athena that can be where she wants when she wants. And a minute and a half. dramiS now, he's just going to play the clock. keep control when he can, deny anything that maxter would need to make a comeback. Heavy would help him out massively. However, the rail, that rail missing. He needs to hit every single shot he can. That one would have been a kill shot if dramiS continued. Granted, if he got hit by a second rail, I doubt he would have gone that way, but the problem is that dramiS is continuing to get his stack back, and he's repaying in kind. Gets frags, though, now. A minute for 2 frags on Awoken, absolutely possible. The Mega definitely going to help this out, and we'll see if maxter can pull off this comeback, Harry.
I think he definitely could. I don't think he expected that. That was a huge chunk of damage there from maxter. And maxter, this is his style he wants to play, and dramiS is playing his style he wants to play. So it's a matter of how maxter's going to close this out and get the correct flank. There will be rocket jumping here and there, which he's going to do so. And he's got the stack to do it, and he's going to catch up on him. And would he be off? No, he doesn't. Misses the rail, and surely he's going to clean them up here. Don't let the same thing happen twice. He's trying to get him, and yes, he does. And look at this, though, Ryan. He's got the stack he needs required in order to go for him. And now he goes for the telly. He's tried to bait him out, but he's still in the LG area. And he doesn't have to stack. maxter could push straight in. He's only got 15 seconds left. Going straight for him. Doesn't care exactly what happens. He doesn't have any rail ammo left. And he's going to try and flank around again. Will he make the right choice? Yes, he does. But he'll be able to clean it up. No, he doesn't. It's dramiS. Oh, dearie me. Managed to close it out, but very, very close, 10-8. And the worst thing is maxter made the right plays. The rocket jumps he was doing was perfect in terms of catching him off guard, but the LG saved his life for dramiS. And look at the damage dealt from both of them. Almost similar, 237 difference between both of these players in favour of dramiS. Definitely way to start map number 1.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that might be one of the worst clicks I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He had the shot lined up. He had 10 seconds to get a frag. He had every possibility to chase it if he landed it. The rail angle is good. Click. And then that's it. The map is over. He had to push in afterwards because why not? But that rail not existing, that hurt. I think we felt that one. I think we all felt it in our bones. And it is a tragic end for maxter. That could have been a comeback. By all means should have been if he just had one extra rail in the tank, but fate was not with him this day. And we're now going to move into our next map, which should be Molten if I recall. And we'll see the Slash versus the Keel, but this time the Slash belonging to maxter. So maxter, the player that will have the mobility on his side. Oh, I'm so sad for maxter. I'm so sad for him.
I can't believe it. The one you just can't make one of those things up, can you? Literally, the one rail he required and he couldn't really get it out just because he didn't have the ammo for it. I think all of us were just clenching at our chair thinking, why he's not shot it? Oh, he's got the ammo left. It's just, it's absurd. But, it happens really. And the worst bit is maxter still took the right path and actually switched around to bottom mid up the jump pad, the heavy jump pad to try and clean him up. But couldn't do the job, sadly. dramiS was very, very lucky to get away with that map win. But let's not just talk about maxter. dramiS as well. He had a great offense. I said it before that he can transition onto attack very well. Even though he's a passive player, kind of a little bit similar to Dewey, his offense is very, very good. And we saw great signs of it on how he likes to try and progress. So dramiS taking that, don't get me wrong, very close, but it's going to make it a more interesting series now because we're now going to go to dramis's map pick, which is a Molten Falls. And Max is going to have a little bit of a tough time clawing back if he's ever behind in terms of scoreline.
Yeah, and even looking at that final sequence, there was that close range rocket because I was holding on until the final moment that even though he missed that rail, there was still a small slither of a chance that maybe he'd have been able to land that rocket that maybe would have ring out. I'm going to admit I couldn't remember if dramiS had a grappling hook at the time because I was checking it out from maxter's point of view, but a couple of potential opportunities that would have been perfect to land, but the kind of situation now where you have no choice but to forget about it because now we're going to be moving into Molten Falls and quite the difference of champions. It is the Slash from maxter. Again, to point out, maxter's the one that has the mobility here. Normally when we see Molten Falls and Slash, we're used to seeing dramiS with that pick, but he's gone for Keel, which means a pretty obvious plan, I think, in action for dramiS, where the plan is going to be keep that stack high when necessary, but just try and catch maxter out. Use his own mobility against him. Get those traps, rockets, grenades, LG, all that good stuff. Molten Falls, you get a lot of audio information, so setting those defensive positions might be pretty good for him, but we'll see how this one goes. Quite interested. I haven't seen dramiS play Keel in a while, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty much role reversal, isn't it, in terms of champion picks? I think dramiS will have the advantage, not only in terms of map and the size, but he knows how to play Slash better than most people. He plays Slash in Molten Falls almost every time we've seen him play in the Pro League. He's obviously had some other picks here and there, but Slash is normally his go-to. But because maxter's selected Slash, I feel like dramiS knows what kind of style and what kind of moves and where he's going to position himself in terms of how the Slash is going to work. So I think, I'll be surprised if maxter actually wins this one just due to the fact that dramiS has got too much of an advantage in terms of stats and in terms of how much an advantage he wants going into this, in terms of champions and map. But we'll see what happens. We'll be focused on dramiS first to see if he can close this series out and actually get the first series win on the board, or if dramiS can maybe extend it further, or Max can tie things up.
Well, I mean, dramiS, he's a player that has played many different games at a high level, and actually one of them was fighting games a while ago. So if you are the kind of player that really has a favorite character, I don't want to use the term main because it's definitely not that, but if his favorite is Slash, he'll know what he hates fighting as Slash, surely. So maybe that's what's going on here. He's going in for the Keel because he knows that as Slash, maybe he dislikes the matchup and it's what he wants to put on maxter. Either way, we have plenty of time to find out what's happening. And maxter, I mean, that wasn't even a necessary rail, not that dramiS knew, completely annihilating that first frag and the Mega at the perfect time just to deny and shut down. There is scraps left on this map for maxter at this point, and dramiS so healthy. Oh, you're dead. See ya.
Caught completely off guard then. He was in a position to make the rotate, but the first rocket stopped him from doing that, and then that's when he knew that he was pretty much done for. Is dramiS with a huge but healthy stack here going into this, and the first rail comes through. A little bit of rocket damage there from maxter, but it's not going to be enough, and there's another beautiful rail there from dramiS. Already 3-0 against someone who's quite a passive player and also one of his better maps. It's not looking too good here for maxter, and one more rail will do it, but dramiS decides to prioritize the heavy, which is completely understandable, and will go for the push on maxter when he sees fit.
I mean, he hasn't even needed to use the grenades yet. Keel has had very little to do with what has allowed these frags to work out the way they have. Tries to escape with the plasma trail, but just ready for the angle. Lands it perfectly. I would have been surprised if he didn't hit that shot, and just look at the stack difference. Maxter has spawned with a rail, but dramiS knows, wait a minute, you've only got the rail. Why do I have to care? I can continue to tank. He can even push in still if he really, 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 really wanted to, because there was a little bit of pickups around. And with the heavy in play, maxter, he hit so many shots, yet look at the difference in stack.
Still a larger man. I feel like maxter can't really do much here, catch up in terms of what he wants to do. He needs to do the chip damage. He's pushing him way too much. I can understand he's trying to corner him off and trying to, you could say, catch him off guard at some of those angles, but dramiS isn't that kind of player. He knows what Slash can do and where Slash is normally positioned around the map. And look at this stack now. Ridiculous. maxter needs to pick up more of those lights, needs to keep himself at least at default stack and do the chip damage required in order to stop dramiS from being so aggressive. And he can do. It's only been 3 minutes. He's going to get the next Mega. The timings of the items are so segregated that dramiS can literally just go through it back and forth like a walk in the park. It's not really looking too bad for him here. Full of pineapples as well. He's looking good.
I'm really loving the way Keel has kind of developed competitively in Duel. This complete brick wall of a character. And now maxter, weak once more. Good math there from dramiS. No need to rail if he's as weak as he is. Let's just finish up with some easy LG. Another time the Mega's going to spawn a maxter. I mean, he just can't fight for it. He can't. He only had a rocket launcher, and that's not really going to do much with dramiS' stack the way it currently is. maxter has to focus on the resources first, fight second, but while he's doing it, dramiS is just extending this gigantic lead. Peeking it for some potential rails, but every time maxter peeks, he opens himself up for a rail in return. And it's a tricky matchup so far, I think.
And this is the other problem with the large versus light champions. You can't just trade out frags like you would with any other champion. It's very, very difficult. It's just not possible. And the fact that dramiS is also not taking much damage from each engagement just makes matters worse. maxter just needs to hold his horses a little bit, just chill, wait for some moments to happen, and then, like, this is the time to do it. He's only got 6 minutes left on the clock, so this is his opportunity to try and get a rail, get an LG to keep him at bay if he does push up a little bit too much, or the rockets, as So some predictable defensive rockets there, and it'll be fine. But dramiS is just hitting every single rail, especially with a hitbox like Slash. dramiS right now is hitting 61% rails against a Slash. That's unheard of.
And at this point, maxter hasn't even been able to do 1k damage yet, and we're almost halfway through the map. If we're looking at control, only 3 of the major items Max has been able to pick up, and as we can see, 8 heavies and 8 megas for dramiS. The control has absolutely belonged to the keel. The defensive rail. Okay, that's good. Needs a lot more than that, but as long as dramiS wasn't able to completely chase this one down, but he's prioritizing control, because the more you control the map, the more behind maxter will become. Misses the rail. maxter punishing the downtime with a little bit of that free LG. Oh, but that second shot missing is going to allow dramiS to return in kind, happily. dramiS looking real tricky.
Yeah, he got caught off guard just a little bit, but he did take a chunk of damage off maxter then, but it could be his time for him to push. But maxter has managed to stop that momentarily, as dramiS now is going to flank around, he's going to prioritize that mega, but it looks like maxter is there. But you heard the cue from dramiS being underneath and decided to back away once more. Completely understandable, but he can't keep doing this. He hasn't got too much time left. He's only got just over 4 minutes now. And now, even though he's jumped down, this could be his opportunity, but he hasn't really taken much damage here. He's available, and there we go. The first frag on the board for maxter. Beautifully done there from him. But it needs to keep this up. He's still got 5 more frags, and against a player like dramiS, it's going to be very difficult on Molten Falls.
But this is where things get tricky for maxter. And it is the nature of the heavy champions, like Keel. How if dramiS spawns near even something like a rail, and maxter is quite weak after a fight or an exchange, all dramiS has to do is spawn near the right weapon, and he can continue to push fresh off spawn, because he will often outstack you after you've just fragged him. It's the benefit of these large champions. And dramiS knows that. Just even look at this. How much armor he's working with. He only spawned a few seconds ago, and now maxter at death's door. The mega was able to save his skin, but he needs to get some armor. It's not going to be anywhere near enough. 8 seconds away from the heavy. Looks like dramiS nowhere near, though, so this should be a free heavy pickup for maxter at the very least. And here it is.
3 minutes 10 left on the clock. dramiS is doing a great job just wasting time, keeping maxter on his toes, but also keeping him guessing at the same time. This could be an opportunity for maxter, even though he's only got a slight stack disadvantage. Definitely will now, considering dramiS just picked up that mega. That could have been a golden opportunity for him to make something happen and make a comeback. But maxter is keeping him back. He's keeping him on the low ground, making sure he can't contest these items too well. dramiS did get that mega, don't get me wrong, but at least if he gets this heavy, then he does have the chance. But the pineapples are coming in, and so are the rockets. And he's decided to... He was thinking about leaving the heavy to not cause that audio cue and then go for it. It was going to go straight for him, but he realizes that dramiS did pull back at the perfect time. But these grenades now are just absolutely perfect, just keeping maxter away. And this is probably one of the reasons why he's choosing that kill pick. But he is raidable, needs to be careful now for maxter. Not anymore after picking up that health orb, but he's going straight in. Could be the chance for him to make something happen. He misses the rail, needs to hit this one if he can. He's going to try and get a different angle if he can, but he has to go for this frag, and it ends up being a trade after that rocket. Beautifully predicted by dramiS. A nice rail there from maxter, but it's not going to be enough. Still a 5 frag difference between the two, but this is not looking too good for maxter. But he's backed away nonetheless, as he has the height advantage, but not the stack.
I mean, looking at the fact that there's 2 minutes on the clock, it might even take 1 whole minute for maxter to get rid of all that armor that dramiS is working on. He can absolutely pick these defensive positions, set up shop, be nice and comfortable. Oh, shelf that rocket. Don't want to get ring out this late on, but... 1.5 minutes, 5 frags. And let's not forget the pretty large elephant in the room that when dramiS spawns, he's going to have a massive stack that maxter has to chip away all over again. I just don't think maxter has the time to make this one happen. dramiS created such a mammoth lead for himself at the very beginning that maxter, he's been behind every step of the way now. 4 frags. But look at that. He spawns near rail. He's got all of his grenades. That's it. He's good to go. Boom.
Yep, the default stack's good. It's got the light and the rail, like you said earlier. It's got the pineapples as well. And as you may have noticed, dramiS is always, 80% of the time, he's keeping himself in those narrow corridors so he can find them at will and keep him at bay. So at the chance where maxter does get extremely desperate around this kind of clock margin, he will start pushing in very aggressively. And that's where dramiS can abuse kills pineapples from there, but decides to back away. He tries to fire a few more. He's not really abusing the narrow corridors right now, but he has the height advantage there. But I think it doesn't matter too much. 30 seconds. The rails are beautiful from maxter, 2 in a row there, but it's just not going to be enough. 25 seconds, needing 4 frags. It's not going to happen. And it looks like we're going to see the first series win from dramiS this season.
And he's played thoroughly impressively to get that victory as well. In this situation, he's going to get some frags at the end, but it's absolutely the definition, I think, of too little, too late. dramiS, we feeling good about this. We still are not finished. There is that final map. Remember, every single map counts in the Pro League this season. Every map having its cash payout for victories. So we're still going to go 100% every step of the way. But I think dramiS can at least breathe that sigh of relief and go, right, victory, you know, and you can start building from there, because we may be late on in stage 1, but we're not finished. You know, things aren't over. I know players do have their bye weeks and stuff like that, so I can't remember off the top of my head what bye weeks exist for dramiS still. I know he has played a bit, but I think that with how he's played today has displayed his, I think, continued levels of talent, but also just the understanding of really good champion matchups. I think there's a reason dramiS had the keel. He played it extremely well here. Just this complete brick wall that seems impossible to crack into. And within the first 5 minutes, he had about 5 frags of a lead. So he gave himself a chunky advantage at the very beginning. And maxter was from behind the moment we started.
Yeah, the bottom 3 in the Americas right now are quite similar in terms of scoreline in the leaderboard, but the thing is though, dramiS is just a little bit further behind. I kind of feel like he needs to push for that 3-0. I think, okay, it's great that he may get the series win, but he needs to get the 3-0. I think it's absolutely vital for him to not just make something happen, but he needs to keep up with the rest of them in terms of the scoreline on the leaderboard. And I think he knows it as well. He knows his job isn't done yet. Oh, don't get me wrong, like, he would like the 3-0 anyway, but I think this is probably the best chance for him to get it. He's played against the top dogs in terms of the Americas scene already, so now's his chance to play against everyone else and make something happen. And he already has done. Like, he wouldn't even have a map win going into this series. He's already got 2. So getting a 3-0 is going to be like, right, okay, everything he's done recently in terms of study, research, grinding has paid off, and he's going to be quite happy about that.
But as you rightly pointed out, the job is not done. If you're trying to now give yourself that kind of burst of momentum as we finish things up here near the later stages of stage 1, these 3-0s are pretty mandatory. And I did like watching the Keel in action. Keel, a champion that has a specific role to play in Pro League recently, and you know, definitely not going to be picked on every single map, but in the right hands can be quite the unique specimen. And it was a fun time to watch him in action again. But we're now loading into our final map between maxter and dramiS. It's going to be Corrupted Keep, so Brawl Happy. It's going to be the Galena and Ison. So it's utility up the wazoo. It's going to be health. It's going to be turrets. And, I mean, no rail, right? So it's going to be a bit of a brawl, as it always is on Corrupted.
It certainly will be, indeed. I'm interested to see what dramiS is going to do with the totems. Like, we've seen a couple of people. I think the last time I saw someone play with a totem was Cooler, where he used them to cover rotations rather than not just going for HP and information. He did it quite a lot, especially in the heavy machine gun area. He would post one in the rockets, one in the LG area, and have one for himself in the back pocket in case he needs to heal up if he's trying to, you know, get out of the bad situation he could possibly be in. I don't know if dramiS will play like that. You know, Corrupted Keep, it can be very, you know, it can be very situational depending on who you're playing against. Because if you're playing against someone like maxter, it's going to be very, very difficult. But then again, it could actually work to find out what rotation maxter is going to make, because it's very unpredictable. But then again, if you do predict what he's going to do, he does it so quickly and so aggressively, you don't have much time to actually be able to stop him or keep him at bay. It's very, very difficult. But, you know, dramiS does need that 3-0. It's great that he's got the 2-0 so far, but getting the third will just make things bittersweet for him.
Well, warm-up is coming to an end. 6 seconds of a countdown. Here we go. Final map between dramiS and maxter. It's going to be the Corrupted Keep. And it's going to be the Galena and the Ison. dramiS spawning near heavy side, which is always good for a Galena. You know, to have the armor on deck on top of a totem already ready to drop. Super Shotgun. There are definitely worse weapons on this map. Super Shotgun quite the MVP in a lot of cases. But he is in this tricky position. He does not have the heavy machine gun yet. However, he has just been able to take it, so he can start to fight fire with fire if we're talking about range. And he's got all the weapons he could possibly need. LG rocket. Super shotgun, sorry, hiccup at the worst possible time, apparently. And here we go. The exchange of items. Again, maxter trying to get some bonus damage before pushing back towards the heavy. Actually, yeah, there's the delay. 10 seconds at least. Wow, there's a chunky delay, Harry, between these two.
Quite surprised, actually, especially on a map like Corrupted Keep, so the mind games have already started to occur. dramiS
I don't think dramiS would have had timing on that now. I
definitely not.
Would expect it.
Unless he aggressively peaks when he goes for the heavy, I'm not too sure, but he needs to probably stick with the mega, but it's a bit too late now as Max has already picked it up. He knows the timing, but like you said before, Ketchup, dramiS hasn't got it, and he's going for it right now. He'll know the timing now. It's a little bit too late, but yeah, he is a little bit too early. 2 HP. Woo. Manages just barely recover there. But how long for, though? Look at the stack of maxter.
Sneaky sequence there from maxter. I think he just knew that dramiS would take that bait as well. dramiS would push in for the heavy. dramiS would inevitably be too early. And then maxter can get a bunch of damage while he's trying to figure out when it's going to bloody spawn. But unfortunately, didn't lead to a frag as dramiS continues his lead. 2 frags to 0. But the momentum already swinging into dramiS's favor. Here comes the heavy. The totems to be dropped, the heals, all the good stuff to keep you healthy as now dramiS just continuing his cycle of the map. maxter needs to look for one of these items, make a play when he feels like he's safe to do so. The problem is that dramiS is doing so much damage on these points, and because maxter put that delay between the 2 items, it's funnily enough going to allow jump down towards mega. Good stuff. dramiS tried to push out and actually lost the mega for it. And now that delay's been pretty much snuffed, I think, Lethal. 5 seconds in between, that's a lot more standard.
Yeah, that's standard to our liking. And dramiS now is always caught in the bad place, but gets the shotgun out and finishes the job anyway. And that could have been a lot closer than expected when you got caught on top of the statue there. But dramiS is only on 21 HP. Doesn't have a totem to build himself up. Anyway, just gets health bubbles, but it's not enough for him to stay alive. maxter was only left on 33 HP, but he has a turret in his back pocket. He managed to pick up the mega. He knows he's a little bit too late for the heavy, so he's going to decide how he's going to pick up these lights. And if the lights are actually up at the moment. One of the heavy machine guns should be up, but he hasn't actually got one as of yet. But the LG is looking beautiful there from maxter. But he's waiting for dramiS to want to push. He's only on 37, 62 HP now. 7 left. Surely this is dramiS's kill if he finishes things up. He still doesn't get him. And finally, dramiS picks things up. But he does have that heavy machine gun now. This weapon is so important at medium range on Corrupted Keep, just to keep your opponent at bay and maybe potentially even picking up some of the items, especially the heavy.
Just not let them bully you in certain positions. You want to take the LG or something similar and you get trapped in a corner. The big push from dramiS is going to result in another easy frag to pick up. As we just continue the way things have just been going the whole map. dramiS in the lead. Hitting all the damage, however, maxter will get the return fire. Just in time for the mega. And as the heavy spawns, dramiS probably going to be able to deny the heavy. And he has taken it for himself. But the next goal is going to be getting those weapons. Super shotgun. Okay, part 1. LG, part 2. And it looks like Max is not going to be able to really punish that at all because he's weak. And here comes the LG, the rockets. They're just non-existent for poor old maxter. As dramiS soaks that one up easily. And there's no damage in return.
Oh, that was a real shame. He did have the height advantage, but at that angle, it can be a little bit weird. The rockets would just come out too late in order for dramiS to easily strafe past them, no problem. And I think maxter actually realised that and knew that full well that he's going to not only lose the frag, but not do any damage in return, so he wouldn't be able to trade afterwards. But saying that, though, maxter gets a frag back on his own. It's left on 66 HP, but it needs to try and stay alive and restack if he can back to the default. But it looks like it's too late. Done a huge amount of damage anyway, so we can definitely get the trade depending on the spawn he gets. But after saying that, dramiS has the light, has the mega, and now it's going to be pushing for that heavy coming up any second now, which he does.
Phenomenal timing on the items to continue. maxter stepping foot on the totem, which does mean that dramiS had a solid information over maxter was going to be fresh off getting himself stacked up. And maxter's just not had a lot of opportunities to exist on this map so far. If we're looking at control alone, a lot of the heavies have gone in the favor of dramiS. So when we do have these close range exchanges where both players have a rocket and they're just trying to swing rockets at one another, dramiS, I mean, he's consistently got more stack and more means to survive the damage. And damage is something that maxter is going to have to dish out a fair amount of, as dramiS has full control over both items. But maxter, he just can't survive. He does not have the stack to compete.
He certainly doesn't, and he's keeping tabs on his hourglasses so well to keep himself as close to default stack as possible. But look at the machine gun from dramiS. Even though maxter has the advantage in terms of hitbox, only showing his head around the statue, it doesn't really be enough for him. He still managed to barely win that engagement. dramiS does have the bigger stack. He can push in it. maxter didn't expect him to push so aggressively, and I've said it before, dramis's offense is top-notch at times when he chooses it to be.
Loads of work. We talk about the snowball effect of Corrupted Keep, but 7 frags in about 3.5 minutes. Even on Corrupted Keep, that can be quite the ask, and now it's starting to go even further away from him. dramiS is on top form today and has really displayed a whole new level. This is that moment to start securing as many 3-0s as possible in our later stage. Likely to concede, maxter does actually manage to get a frag, but he took a fair amount of damage in the process. So, doesn't seem like too much of a victory for me.
Not much at all. 3 minutes and 5 left on the clock. maxter's a huge deficit here, and he's left on 37 HP, taken down now an 8 frag deficit. It's very weird seeing this go in dramis's favor. maxter, I would have thought, would be loving life right now. It should be his playground, his kind of map style and the play style he can abuse in order to make something happen. But dramiS is just absolutely all over him. Maybe during the map pick situation, he chose Corrupted Keep because he prefers that map just in general instead of Tower of Koth. Maybe forcing dramiS to play this map wasn't the right choice. maxter, though, managed to get another frag back, but is it too late? You know, 7 frags in 2.5 minutes. It's a big ask here, but maxter definitely has the potential to do it. But the way dramiS is playing, he's been such a pain in the backside. And there we go. dramiS gets a frag back and trying to heal up as best as he can. And it's looking like it's going to be on the struggle bus a little bit more here, Ketchup.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 7 frags? No, 8 frags. Sorry. I can't count today.
So
in 2 minutes.
I can't count either.
It's just a lot of work, isn't it? And there's no time to get it done. You have to be on the understanding, too, that dramiS is going to magically just stop getting frags in the process, which I think is unlikely, especially now as maxter. I mean, he does what he can. He tries to deny the items, but if dramiS gets to it first, maxter, he would probably have accepted defeat right there. And he should be able to get another one. But like we've said, and like we can clearly see, I just do not think the man has time. Gonna be honest, I did think it would be a little bit closer. Now, the first map did give us a bit of a taste at that, but then map 2 and 3 has been the dramiS show, 100%. An opportunity for dramiS to really say to everyone, don't forget who I am, you know. This may have been a bit of a not so successful... Whoop.
Ooh, that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean... It is what it is, isn't it? I mean, we've got 1 minute and 10 left to go. All dramiS has to do is what he's doing right now. Any fight could take a long time. The rockets are great. maxter has been just struggling all series long. The rockets from dramiS, he's done 2,000... Actually, no, he's pretty much done 2.5k with his rocket launcher alone. Yeah, and that's just been a golden weapon.
Is really stupid. Yeah, it's this all these defensive and predictive rockets have been top notch. maxter's been a little bit predictable in the routes he takes. Like maxter's not really waiting around and waiting to see where he's going to flank. He seems to be on edge quite a lot, a little bit impatient, which is, I can understand that. You're trying to be too quick for your opponent to even make the effort to even shoot you back, but it seems to be a little bit too much here. maxter, I don't know if it's the fact that maxter couldn't play his A game or dramiS has just dramatically improved that much. I think it's more the fact that dramiS has actually improved a hell of a lot in comparison to what we've seen in previous matchups, and I'm really happy for him because it wasn't looking too good. He's lost 15 maps in a row, and you know, a week later he's winning a series 3-0. So well done to dramiS for winning that 3-0. It was definitely hard fought throughout most of those maps, and start to see him slowly making that comeback in the Pro League in the Americas region.
dramiS has been in the Pro League for a very, very long time, and he has gone from strength to strength. I know he's kind of had points where he's seemingly plateaued, and that kind of climb has come to an end. But the thing about being in Pro League for so long is that you get so used to and familiar with the process of acknowledging when it's time to step up. And if dramiS is in a position, one of the positions for the first time, where he needs to start getting some wins. He spent a long time being at least, he may not be number 1 or 2 or whatever the case may be in the Americas, but at least he very, rarely has to worry about relegation. He's never really at risk from that. And this has been, I think, one of the first times that dramiS has had to realize, oh, wait a minute, I need to start getting some wins here because I might be sweating. And having the peace of mind to just get better. There's really no other way I can put it. He's had to step up. He stepped up this week, got a convincing victory versus maxter. And if anything, a great boost for the confidence, isn't it? Because now we can go into future weeks just knowing he has what it takes to defeat the rest of the competition and get those all-important map wins that at this point he needs very much indeed.
I think he's just happy he's not going to be going 0-18 into the next week as well. You're absolutely right, 100%. But the changes he's made, like in terms of like what he's been doing, like previous weeks to now, it's night and day in terms of what he's changed. Like for example, his offense is a lot better than what it was before. I think in previous weeks, he still has his passive playstyle, but was kind of unsure of himself when to push and how he should do it. But it seemed like he was a lot more confident of his ability as to how and when. So either he's been changing his own style a little bit more and managed to focus on different paths and different routes to take on how he should approach this matchup, or it's the fact that maxter fits to how he wants to play. It could be a lot of different things, but we won't know until the next couple of weeks. Like, okay, he's done it well in one matchup, but how is he going to do it against the future matchups? I won't know for sure until we actually see more of him over the next couple of weeks.
And as this series comes to a close, we're going to be moving as swiftly as we can into the next one, which will be Zenecu versus Effortless. So that is going to be our next matchup. So we're going to be going from one America's matchup straight into another. We'll see if Effortless has what it takes to take out Zenecu, or whether Zenecu can, I think, continue to show us that he's come a long way since he made his first introduction into Pro League. dramiS definitely going to be feeling good about that one. I definitely feel like he's going to be uncomfortable being in his current leaderboard placement. He's used to just being a little bit higher up there, isn't he? And this is that time to step it up and to start getting some victories, and able to get himself a victory today. So well done. We're going to go for a quick break and set up our next matchup, which, like I said, Zenecu and Effortless will be up next. We're going to go for a break and see you in a few minutes' time.